Chapter 10. It was Sunday when the storm came. Adam had seen it coming early that morning when he was chopping wood in the stand of pines behind the cabin. A mountain of high gray clouds built up above the peaks in the west. In the distance, he could see flashes of lightning glaring between the mountain peaks. There was a lot of work to be done today, but a storm would put a stop to anything Adam had planned. First, he had to run the cow in from the grass meadow by Jenny Creek. He had to make sure she was tucked away safely in the pen where her shed was. Then he had to see that the barn was closed up tight so the grass hay he had spread to dry in the loft and on the floor wouldn't get wet and spoil. He heard the first loud clap of thunder just as he closed the barn door and started for the house. Mother was standing by the window stirring up something in her big wood mixing bowl. "Would have to storm on the day I decide to make bread," she said when Adam came in. "You got everything latched down?" Adam nodded. "Cow's in her pen and I closed the barn up good." He went over to the window and watched the heavy gray clouds roll in. The far distant rumble of thunder grew closer. Finally, he could see the sheets of water falling on the mountain peaks. "Wonder where Sam is now," Mother sighed as she watched the storm coming. "Reckon he's someplace between here and Cheyenne," Adam answered. "When did he say he'd be back?" "Should be sometime tomorrow," Mother answered. It was then that Adam noticed the worried look on her face. "You aren't worried about Sam, are you?" he asked lightly, trying to tease her. "Why, he knows these mountains better than anybody. I bet he's been caught out in plenty of storms. I bet he's out there someplace holed up, not even getting wet." Mother smiled. "I reckon you're right." She sighed again. Adam looked at her for a long time. Finally, he tilted his head to the side, frowning. "You really love him, Mother?" His mother looked startled. "Sam?" "Yes, I do." Adam tilted his head to the other side. "I mean, really? Like you did Daddy?" Her face was serious. She looked him straight in the eye. "There'll never be anyone like your daddy, Adam. But I do love Sam. Along with you and Lori, I reckon I love him more than anything on this earth." "But how?" Adam frowned. "After being so much in love with Daddy, how can you turn around and be as much in love with somebody else?" She shook her head. "Being in love ain't something you can explain, son. It just sort of happens to people." "Does that mean you don't love Daddy anymore? That you don't remember him like you used to?" Mother shook her head. "No, Adam. I'll always love your daddy. I'll always remember him. But I don't think he would have wanted us to spend the rest of our lives alone, just pining after his memory." She sort of cleared her throat and went back to stirring her batter. "Maybe when you're older you'll understand." Adam bit down on his lip. It seemed like grown-ups were always saying, "When you're older you'll understand." He figured he was old enough now to understand. All he needed was someone to tell him. He thought of some more questions to ask, but before he got them out, the storm hit. Mother gave a little squeal and stepped away from the window. Adam felt icy cold raindrops splatter against the sill and dampen his face. The rain came with a sudden gust of wind that made it slant through the open window. Quickly, Adam closed the shutters. Lori came running over. "Want to see the rain," she said, shoving against the shutters. "Want to see." "No." Adam flipped the wood latch in place. Lori's face scrunched up like she was going to cry. Before she could get started, Mother stepped in. "Lori, come help me with the bread." Instantly, she forgot about the rain and rushed over to the stove. The wind pushed the rain against the side of the cabin. Adam could hear it pounding. He knew it wouldn't take long. I'm just recording. Before the sod roof started leaking, so he started gathering pans and buckets to catch the water. Suddenly, there was a loud scratching at the door. Adam froze, listening. Ruff's voice whined inside. Mother laughed. "Best to let him in," she said. "From the sound of it, the storm may last a while." Adam opened the door, and the red pup came flying in like there was a swarm of bees chasing him. As soon as he was inside, he got up close to Adam and gave a good shake. Water sprayed all over. Adam held his hands out, trying to block the water from his face and clothes. "Quit that," he scolded playfully. Ruff stopped and gave him one of those dumb looks as if to say, "What's wrong with you? All I'm doing is drying off." "Thank you." There was an old bearskin rug by the fireplace. It took Ruff about 2 shakes of his tail to find it and bed down. He licked at his fluffy red fur and scooted to the small fire. Adam placed the pans where the leaks dripped from the underside of the sod roof, then went over and stretched out by his red pup. While Adam scratched his ears, Ruff tried to lick his face, but Adam held him back until he calmed down and lay quiet. The thunder boomed and rolled like giant boulders tumbling down the mountain slopes. The rain pounded on the roof and the walls. It made pinging sounds as it dripped through the holes in the sod roof and fell to the pans Adam had spread on the floor. It made all sorts of different tunes, some high, some low. The thunder outside was like a bass drum, and the crackling of the fire was just a little extra sound that made the music of the storm seem warm and peaceful. Adam smiled, listening to the different sounds. He closed his eyes and in no time fell asleep. When he woke up, the smell of fresh-baked bread tugged at his nose. That delicious smell brought him instantly to his feet and carried him to the stove. When he reached for one of the fresh-baked rolls in the pan, Mother clunked him playfully on the back of the hand with her wooden spoon. "They're hot. Don't go grabbing too fast." "Yes, ma'am. Butter?" Mother pointed to the spoon at the little wooden table beside the stove. "Just churn some. It's in the crock." Lori was beside him. "Me too, Adam. Fix me one, too." "All right," Adam nodded, "but they're hot. You don't go grabbing until I say it's all right." The storm was over. The rain had almost quit falling through the sod roof. It plopped ever so slowly into the pans. Adam took a roll and spread the fresh churned butter on it. "You two, don't make yourself sick on them rolls," Mother warned. "We still got supper." "And you—" Mother never finished what she was fixing to say. The door burst open. It made a loud booming sound, like the thunder, only it wasn't thunder. Somebody had kicked the door so it flew back and slammed into the wall. Startled, Adam jerked around. Mother screamed. A large figure stood with stooped shoulders, and a beard stepped into the doorway. Adam frowned, recognizing the man who had come to the cabin last week with the others to hunt for gold in Jenny Creek. Without another thought, Adam spun and raced for the fireplace. He grabbed the flintlock that hung above the hearth. The man's voice boomed out from behind. "You want your mama to go on living, you best leave that gun where it hangs." Adam had both hands on the gun as the man spoke. Since Sam had gone, they'd kept the flintlock loaded and ready. All he had to do was yank it down, turn, and pull the trigger. But when the man with the beard said, made him freeze. He glanced over one shoulder. The big man stood square in the middle of the doorway. He had his rifle aimed at Mother. Adam could tell by the look on the man's face that he meant what he said. Adam shuddered. As he turned away from the flintlock, his hands fell limp at his sides. The big man with stooped shoulders sneered. Adam felt sick inside. For 5 days he'd done my man's work. He'd been constantly on his guard, always careful and alert. Then today, under the safety and security of the storm, he dropped his guard. Just for a few minutes he slept in front of the fire and forgotten to look out the window when he woke. Just once he relaxed. And now this. It was all his fault. "How could I be so stupid?" he roared silently to himself. "How could I think the rain would keep someone from being outside and sneaking up on the cabin?" The big man with the beard moved into the room. Another man followed him, then another, who came in and closed the cabin door. "What do you want here?" Mother demanded. She waved the cast iron skillet from the oven like it was a club. "Get out of my house." The big man laughed. Before Adam could even blink, he stuck out a hand and swooped Lori up in his arms. "Best put that pan down," he chuckled. "I could break this little gal clean in two if I wanted." Mother's eyes got real wide. She dropped the iron skillet and stood there trembling. All of a sudden, Adam noticed Ruff was on his feet. The pup had managed to sneak around behind the men. He was all hunkered forward, with the hair standing on a bristled ridge down his back. He bared his white fangs and inched toward the big man holding Lori. The man heard him growl. He held Lori with one hand, wheeled around, and aimed his rifle at Ruff with the other. "You care any for this dog, you'll go tie him outside before I blow his head off." Adam reached out quickly and caught Ruff around the scruff of his neck. He patted him, leaning down close to his ear, and told him everything was okay. Ruff knew as well as Adam that everything wasn't okay. They were in trouble. Real trouble.